Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Royal Instinct. Today we're going to be watching a video about why modern dating humiliates men. We're going to do a reaction video to Jimmy Carr, and we're going to be looking into some of the reasons why men are leaving the dating game. Men are checking out. They are not contributing to society anymore. They have decided to leave. A big reason for that is the financial issues. It is monetary issues causing this crisis that we're going through. However, I think a lot of people aren't able to kind of grasp the severity of the situation and where we're headed. We're going through interesting times. We are at a inflection point in history, in society, in our human evolution. We have AI around the corner ready to take your jobs. We have Mark Zuckerberg ready to shove you into the metaverse, to have you locked in into your 15-minute city, into your little pod, slotted in, surveilled 24/7, under CCTV surveillance, watching your every move, watching your every thought. Right now, you can't really, especially here in the UK, you can't really speak your mind freely online without the police, in essence, coming down at you, harassing you for your freedom of speech. Okay, um, we are being shackled. Our freedoms are being taken away. We are being slowly manipulated, neutered, in essence, to a position of where you will have no freedom. It will be a 1984 type scenario. How do you get out of a situation like that? How do you make sure that you can escape and be free? The only thing left to do is to escape the current system that you're in, to get out of the system, to start something new. And that is what I'm here to do. That is what Royal Instinct is about. It is to find your divine right within yourself to rule, to become a ruler, to become a king, and to establish a kingdom. That is what I want from you. I want to find other like-minded people such as yourself, so I can help you establish a kingdom. You can help me establish a kingdom, and together we will rule side by side, forming a united alliance of kings. And then we will be able to be the people in control of our own destiny. We won't be bowing down to anyone. We cannot be stopped. We will rise to the top, and we will rule together as benevolent kings, as philosopher kings. But it is a hard road to travel. Okay, not many people understand what I'm saying. Not many people will have the strength, or the ambition, or the creativity, or the foresight to even do what I'm doing. If you understand what I'm saying, I want you to reach out. This is a bat signal to you. This is the moment in your life story where you decide to get up off your ass and decide to change your circumstances. Okay, I want you to join me into finding a new solution, because the current solutions are not working. Our elites have sold us down the river. They have lied to us. They have taken our resources. They have taken our time, our money, our attention. We have been robbed of our future. The elites are bleeding your country dry. They're bleeding my country dry, selling off assets, increasing inflation. The cost of living is going up while wages are stagnant. And literally in a couple of years' time, all you will see is suffering around you. Okay, there'll be the greatest depression that the world has ever seen. The other reason why it will be the greatest depression is because people are trained to do office jobs. People are trained to do admin jobs. But if AI is programmed to replace those jobs, people will have to return to manual labor. And a lot of people, first of all, won't have the ego to stoop down to a lesser job, like a manual job. But the other thing is, like, most people don't have the right mentality to do it, right? They have forgotten how to use their hands. They have forgotten how to do tasks that require manual labor, in essence. Okay, people don't know how to work hard anymore. If you fall under that bracket, if you are worried about your future, you need to do something about it. And that is what I'm here to do. I'm here to wake people up. I'm here to shake you up out of your haze and hopefully lead you to prosperity. But let's jump into this video, diving into why men are quitting the dating market.
8 charts that will change the way you see dating. I love these types of videos because when you're just talking off of speculation, and to me it seems like a lot of it is pretty obvious, but when you're talking off of speculation, because it makes people feel uncomfortable, they will try to attack you to delegitimize what you're saying. But when you have the data and the statistics right in front of you, you just become the messenger. So you get to put your hands up and go, hey, I'm just the guy delivering the message. Don't attack me. The numbers are right here.
This is a chart showing how men perceive women's attractiveness. Looks pretty normal. Men tend to perceive women's attractiveness on a standard bell curve.
Yeah.
On the scale of 1 to 5, the average is 2.83, with the most common rating being 3.
That's actually not bad, because that means that most men consider most women to be above average. So the
yeah, it doesn't take much for a woman to be attractive. She's got to have a cute face, learn how to do her makeup, not be fat, not be obese, unless you're the small percentage of men who are into that shit, which is fine. But literally all you gotta do is just be skinny, not be fat, have good skin, have no acne, have long hair. Like it's really simple, man. Like, men aren't complicated creatures. Men aren't making shit difficult out here. It is the standard that women are upholding to men.
average man sees the average woman as above average. That's actually pretty good.
8% are above the 4 and 17% below a 2. All pretty normal.
I bet you it's so
and
skewed.
Here is how women perceive men.
I knew it was going to be skewed, but I didn't know it was going to be that skewed. Dang. So the average woman out of 5 considers the average man to be beneath a 2, less than a 2. So expand that to like the typical rate yourself out of 10 kind of idea. Most women see the average man as below a 4. Dang.
Yeah. Doesn't look so good for men.
I mean, you can just see on that chart, most men just don't make the cut for most women. And one of the reasons why that is because when we hear the word attractive, we think attractive as in physically attractive, right? And people throw in height into that category because height is a physical trait. The thing is, though, what most men get wrong, what this guy gets wrong, the guy who made the video and the guy reacting to it, the black guy, men aren't judged the same way women are judged. So earlier I said that women, for a woman to be attractive, all she got to do is be skinny, be pleasant to be around, have a good, cute face, and she's, like literally she'll be like a 5-6 out of attractiveness at that stage. Okay, and most men will be very, very happy with that. For women, it is different. What they want is the person who is in charge. Now I'm going to use the word like alpha, but it doesn't mean like a macho man. It just means the person in charge. Okay, for example, the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is an alpha. Although he is a very effeminate man, he is in a leadership position, and women strongly react to people who are leaders, which is why I want you to become a king. A king is the ultimate leader. A king is the person who has dominion over his own land. Most women see themselves as queens, and therefore you should strive to be a king, because that is the only way that you can have the dating life that you desire.
Taking this at face value, only 1 in 6 men are above average in an absolute sense. And if we translate this plot to something more familiar, like IQ, then we have a world where women think 58% of men are brain damaged.
So basically, you got to be top 20% of men to be considered above average. Like, that's what a lot of people say, that type stuff.
When we dive a little deeper, though, it becomes clear this isn't a men are too ugly to date thing. It's a men are too ugly to hook up with thing. This is OkCupid, one of the biggest dating sites in the world. And this is Christian Rudder, the former CEO of the platform. In 2009, looking to promote the platform, Rudder and his team began to release data from the site.
Oh, no.
Giving us an insight into what the dating market really looks like.
See, to be honest, I think that there are certain things that men were never supposed to know about women, but with social media, men have access to what women actually think without like bumpers set into place. And there are a lot of dudes that are becoming very black pill because of the realization. Like, I think that historically speaking, men have operated with women having a halo effect. So just the idea that they might be pure or honest was just given to women because they're women. But with men having access to this type of information, it's starting to change the way they look at a lot of this type of stuff.
Behind closed doors.
Like socially,
in
like
2014, he released the book Dataclysm, summarizing much of the data revealed by the site. Within the book, Rudder displays the differences between how men and women view each other's attraction.
And you can just see just on that chart there, in red, men as rated by women. The thing is, a dating app or dating website uses how a woman perceives men. Okay. And what I mean by that is, so how it is scaled on attractiveness, as in physical attractiveness. However, women aren't attracted to that. They're attracted to power. Okay. Which is why, unless you have displays of wealth, displays of luxury, displays of you in social situations where you are seen to be a leader, you're not going to be deemed attractive. Okay. So if you want to make the optimal dating profile, it has to be, you have to be showing situations where you are in charge, where you are shown to be a leader, which is why I want you to become a king. Because if you can, to buy a private island, it's only a couple million. Okay. And if you think that is too expensive or out of your control to buy, if you can't perceive a situation where you can buy something like that, then this ain't the place for you. You don't understand what I'm doing. We are trying to live life. We're trying to maximize life. We are maximizing every aspect, every facet, and becoming the de facto rulers. Okay. If you're unhappy with your situation, if you're unhappy with how life is treating you, like I am, then you need to do something about it. And what we do here is we max our kingdoms.
Activeness on the site. But when asked about it in an interview promoting the book and platform, this is what he had to say.
Tinder, those curves move even further apart. Match, they move closer together. The male curve barely moves.
Yeah.
It's really the female curve that moves around. The men kind of have the same curve on all three sites, and it's the female curve that moves around.
When OkCupid was acquired by the Match Group in 2011, Rudder got access to the rest of the Match Group's biggest platform's data.
All kinds of
data. The
data.
two biggest of which at the time, Match.com and Tinder, give us a lot of insight into what's really going on here. Although charts or data were never posted, we can estimate based on what Rudder said. This is an estimate of how women perceive men on Match.com. And this is an estimate of how women perceive men on...
I bet you it has to do with the fact that Tinder is more of a hookup website, while Match.com seems to be more for connection. And I don't even know if it necessarily is anymore, but I know when it first came out, people were more...
I mean, who's even using Match.com anymore, right? Like, people aren't really using Match.com anymore. People are using apps like Tinder and Hinge. Okay, so a lot of the time when data gets compiled, a lot of the time when these studies come out, you're already behind the curve, because that data has to be treated, that data has to be studied, that data has to be processed, and then peer reviewed, and then it gets given out to the public. Okay, and a lot of the time, by the time that data is out, it's already 2-3 years out of date.
Interested in dating for longevity, versus when by the time Tinder came out, boy oh boy, we were already cooked. By that time, people were just looking for a place where they could get easy hookups, and Tinder just so happened to be that app.
Tinder. We can see that for women, As the dating site becomes more casual in nature, the standards climb.
That makes sense.
Although people like to push the narrative that women are delusional and have too high standards, the data seems to say the relatively high standards are only for casual intimacy. Which, when you consider the additional risks women take on with intimacy, the relatively high standards seem reasonable. Essentially, women are thinking, if I'm going to take the risk of a casual hookup, you better be attractive.
Right. Yeah, but this is the biggest problem with the sexual revolution. Before that, it was expected that you waited until marriage. And when you're looking for marriage, you date totally different, right? You're looking for a person that has more longevity. You're looking for a person that could potentially be the father to your kids. And because you care about that family structure, you're going to want him to stick around. So you're going to date for totally different things. Instead of things like fun, you're probably going to date more for stability. And instead of money, you're probably going to date more for morality because you need that person to stick around. And money isn't a good determining factor of that, but their morality is. Now with dating being mostly about hooking up, like I think most people hook up and then marriage or family comes significantly later, definitely after sleeping with each other nowadays. So yeah, of course, when you're dating for what you want versus what you should have,
No, he is completely wrong. He what you need to be looking at is how the structure of the finances work, okay? Like with the rise of feminism, you know, and women having more access to jobs, women being part of the labor market. And the thing is, at the same time, inflation and the cost of living going up, you know, people are going back to their base nature, and their base nature is to seek protection. In the modern world, in modern society, the best way to seek protection is via money. Money shields you from all sorts of things. Money shields you from all types of problems. If you have more money, the more you are protected, which is why that even people like who are already the wealthiest people in the world, like Elon Musk, for example, you know, why is he seeking more money? Why is he seeking more power? It's because he is seeking more protection, because the elites know that they will be driving, you know, the wealth gap between poor and rich even wider, and things will be getting more and more expensive. And with AI coming, displacing a lot of people, there will be a revolution, there will be a revolt. And when I mean revolution, when I use that word, I don't mean, you know, we're going to be starting a whole new system for the better. It will be actually probably for the worse. I think there'll be a lot of fallout. There'll be a lot of people, you know, players, global players across the world, like Russia and China, for example, trying to make a play to gain maximum power through a position like that. The only way to protect yourself is to insulate yourself, to escape the system, and position yourself in a place of the world where you're out of harm's way of any war, and where you are, in essence, starting your own nation, starting your own dominion, taking the people that you want to spend time with, the types of people that you would love to be around. And then together you can start a whole new nation, and they can live happily under your kingdom.
Usually what you want is contrary to what is best for you. And so I think that this aspect of the sexual revolution has completely destroyed the fabric of society and the trust between men and women.
The next question is then, what makes someone attractive? To answer this question, I'd like to bring forward a study from 2016, looking at what women look for in a speed dating context. The study started by giving women a list of 6 traits and asking them to assign points to each trait based on how
Let's just have a quick look at these traits: physical attractiveness, ambition, intelligence, mutual interest, sincerity, fun. Okay. To do anything in this world today, you know, to do anything fun, it costs money. Okay. Sincerity, what does that even mean? They want you to be sincere. What that means is you're not faking, you know, you're not being fake. You're not showing a fake lifestyle that you can't really maintain. So they want you to be sincere in the fact that, are you a brokey or are you really wealthy? So that's why they want you to be sincere. Okay. Intelligence. Why is intelligence important? Because the more intelligent you are, the more you will be able to use that intelligence to make more money. Okay. And why is ambition important? Because the more ambitious you are, the higher in the career ladder you can climb, the higher in society you can climb, and the higher you are, the more money you can make. Physical attractiveness is the only one that differs from all the other categories, right? And it's the, you know, they put it at the top, but it's actually the least important one out of all those 6 categories. Is it 6? Oh, yeah, it is 6. Yeah.
To them.
Okay, I'm gonna take a guess here. I'm gonna guess physical attractiveness is 1. Let's see, ambition and
No, I think he's wrong. I think intelligence, ambition, and fun is probably the most important. Mutual interests, I think, doesn't even matter, because a woman is moldable in the sense that whatever you find interesting, she finds interesting. Women have no interest of their own most of the time. It is something that they pick up along, given by somebody else.
intelligence, mutuals. I'm gonna say fun is number 2. I'm gonna guess that ambition is 3. Probably intelligence at 4, because if you're not ambitious, being intelligent is just annoying to women because then you're just correcting them on everything, right? Like if you don't have your own passions, right? Then I'm going to think mutual interest as 5 and sincerity as 6. I think that if you're physically attractive and you're fun, women will assume sincerity.
The other thing is a lot of women lie on dating apps, so you know you can't take shit at face value.
The average distribution of points the women provided looked like this. All attributes given.
There you go. Intelligence, fun. Intelligence is the most important. Why? Because it's the biggest sign, it's the biggest indicator of your future potential of making money. The more intelligent you are, the more money you can make. So money is the biggest factor in dating in today's market.
Near even value.
But what's the actual
After
thing?
completing the dates, the women were asked to assign the points to the men at the dating event. Then, which men they were going to see again. This is the chart displaying the actual distribution.
Yeah, so you can see that physical attractiveness is the biggest, because when what you're looking at is the most is the biggest indicator, then you're going to, you know, pick someone more attractive because of the halo effect. However, if you told each woman what that person's net worth was, then this data would look very, very different.
Yep, that looks about right. Physical attractiveness first, fun second. I'm actually surprised that mutual interest is 3rd. Yeah, but sincerity, I definitely guess that, because I think if you're attractive enough, most women will just assume that you're sincere, and I think that's why players lie to women. But I ain't gonna lie, that shit is dwarfed when you look at sincerity compared to physical attractive. Like when you look at the size of stars, the sincerity is like the sun in the Milky Way galaxy. The physical attractiveness is like a star that's in the middle of the universe somewhere. But that's not surprising to me though. That's why players lie when they talk to women.
Physical attractiveness was by far the most important attribute, with the amount of positive responses and level of physical attractiveness having an astonishingly large correlation coefficient of 0.801. For comparison, the correlation coefficient between IQ and academic performance is 0.54. Think about that for a second. For those wondering, online dating shows an even stronger correlation, with the data from OkCupid showing a 0.92 correlation coefficient between physical attractiveness and the perceived attractiveness of a profile.
Yeah, well, you'll see those experiments where dudes will take an attractive guy and then like make a Tinder profile. And sometimes they'll say like, I'm attracted, or they'll call the women like pigs. Sometimes you
know, and this is the thing that you really can't hate on women either. It's like, you know what I mean? Like men would pick the most attractive partner, so why can't women either? A lot of this red pill hate, a lot of this shit, you know, it is out of pocket because, you know, it is something that men are willing to do anyway. You know, this is why if you don't want to play these games, you need to be building your own kingdom, setting the stage to become a king. But let's jump into Jimmy Carr.
I don't know him, but I'm a big admirer. I think he's remarkable. I think, who's the other one? Scott Galloway's new book is very good.
I've not read it yet.
It's really, really worth.
Scott Galloway is a leftist fraud. He's really just doing it, just try to gain traction to start a political career.
Taking a look at, you know, the young men.
So would you hear this? He said that 45% of young men between the ages of 18 and 25 have yet to ask a woman out.
Yeah, because the risk is too high. It's if you make a mistake these days, people can record it and plaster it across the internet for everybody to see. So men have a right to be scared. I'm someone who's used to be part of the pickup community. I've approached over 4,000 women, and trust me, when you start thinking like a king, when you perceive yourself as a king, that is not the position that you want to be in.
I think that's quite shocking, and I've been trying to like kind of.
Okay, all right.
Let's
Let's give some advice then.
Okay.
All right. This is unsolicited advice for young men. Okay.
Let's see what type of advice he gives people. I'm not holding my breath. I'm not very hopeful.
So, first off, pornography.
Great. Okay. So he's telling people to stop pornography because he thinks that will allow men to go out. So he's thinking pornography is the symptom, right? Not the cause of the current situation that we find ourselves in.
Stop looking at it. And not because I'm being a prude. I'm not a prude in any way at all. But pornography is a proxy. It's not a bad proxy. You can knock one out to porn. You can have an orgasm, and it's kind of okay. Scott.
Hang on, sorry.
That you would go to, you have to be a certain level. You can knock one out to porn. You can have an orgasm, and it's kind of okay. But the good is...
The problem is not that men are just having too many orgasms. Is the reason they are turning towards porn is because their sexual needs aren't being met in real life. Okay, when real women don't exist in real life anymore. Everything is online, and the hottest women, the most attractive women, the types of women, if say if you're a 20-year-old man, the types of women that you would date, they're being flown out by billionaires, all across the globe: Dubai, Monaco, Maldives, Miami, Las Vegas, you name it. These girls are being flown out, and you're not seeing those women anymore because they're being scooped out of your community and taken across the globe into more expensive settings.
The enemy of the best. And the idea that you would go to, you have to be a certain level of horny to walk across a bar to a girl you don't know and go,
yeah, that's a situation you don't want to find yourself in. If you just have a bunch of horny men out in nightclubs, in pubs, in bars or whatever, they're not going to make socially calibrated decisions. You are more likely to be perceived as a weirdo, be perceived as a somebody who is harassing people rather than someone who's just trying to find a partner.
You look lovely, can I buy you a drink? It's like, it's much easier to kind of to not take that risk. And video games, I think, go the same way, right? Video games are a proxy for the...
Again, video games are just a symptom, not the problem, right? The problem is it's too expensive to go out. So it's much cheaper to stay in and play your video games and experience a thrill, dopamine spikes, engagement, which you can't really find in real life.
That you don't have. Think about a video game, right? It's layers, levels, and then there's a big boss at the top.
Especially these role-playing games as well.
It couldn't be more obvious, right? So it's a proxy for the career. My theory is that George Orwell wasn't right. We will not be taken over by an authoritarian regime. Aldous Huxley was right in Brave New World. And he posited that we will give away our freedom for cheap dopamine, right? I think that's what young men are doing, right? So it's that thing. Weirdly, I would say...
He is wrong. We are being taken over right now by the elites. The elites are enslaving us slowly. But the thing is, there is no rebellion because the alternatives are too good to give up, right? The problem with men not dating is that they'll have ready-made solutions. It's like, okay, you can use pornography, you can use video games to numb yourself, And that is why the elites will win. That is the situation I don't want you to find yourself in. I want you to rebel. I want you to stand up for yourself. I want you to find passion and purpose in your life. And I want you to live the best life possible. And what we do here on Royal Instinct is we build our own kingdoms. We become kings. We become the de facto rulers of our destiny. We strive forward, okay? And if you believe that you deserve more in life, if you believe that you should be living a better life than you currently are, you need to reach out. We can work together. Let's see what we can do to build a whole new system, okay? I don't want to take part in this system. The system is corrupt. The people who have solutions, these spokesman like Jimmy Carr, right? He's a fucking comedian. Okay, he's already famous. He's already making a shitload of money every year, right? He doesn't have these problems. He doesn't know the problems of the normal person, right? Most people will be fucked. Most people will be left behind, and I don't want that for you. What I want you to do is thrive, and the best way to do that is to start a kingdom.
So give up porn, but get your dick wet, son. Go out and find someone. Go out and find a girl. And where are the nice girls? Like, it doesn't need.
Okay, and then you approach a woman, and then she tells you that you are harassing her, that she doesn't feel, you're infiltrating into her safe space. She whips out her phone, right? Like, she gets her phone out like this and starts recording you. She's like, "Oh, okay, what did you just say to me? You find me attractive? That's rude. I didn't solicit you to come over here and tell me that, actually," right? Next morning, you're posted all over the internet. You are humiliated. You are ridiculed. Your job lets you go. You lose your job. You lose your career. You lose your earning potential. And you are worse off by taking this person's advice.
Be a bar, join a gym, wherever the nice girls are. Go be in that space.
Okay, go on, Jim. Where are the nice girls? Tell me, where are they? Okay, they're in a bar, they're in the club. No, they're not. They're not. They don't go out anymore. Okay.
And you're not. It's not toxic masculinity to ask someone out.
Yeah, ask a feminist that, and they will tell you that if you're a person, right? I mean, look, the video we just watched before that about the perceived attractiveness of men. Most women find most men repulsive, right? And most men are single. So if the men that they find repulsive ask them out, do you think they're not going to say that's toxic masculinity? How dare you even approach me, right? They don't want you to come into the space. They don't see you as a king, so why would they allow you to approach them?
We all know the difference between pestering someone and just saying, "Oh, I like you. Can I take you for coffee?" Don't ask someone.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is, like, most women have, they're not socializing anymore as well, right? Like Gen Z, millennial women, they have, most of them are in therapy, or they have some type of social anxiety. They don't even know how to communicate, they don't understand social cues anymore, especially after the pandemic. So imagine if you was to ask them out, asking for coffee, and they're like, "Oh yeah," they don't even know how to respond to that, right? And then because you made them feel awkward, they'll call you, a toxic man, toxic masculinity, for having the balls to ask them out. It's going to go all wrong for you, okay? Become a king, so then you don't have these problems.
Someone out on a date. Maybe ask them out for a cup of coffee in the day. A cup of coffee and see if we get along. Like,
he makes it sound so easy, but it's not, man. Like trust me, as someone who's approached over 4,000 women, to ask for a number, right, is easy. Giving away a number, it means nothing. But for them to come out, for them to make that commitment to a total stranger, it's a big commitment. And unless she can see, unless you build real comfort with a person like that, she's not going to come meet you for coffee, mate. Rather than a big romantic, I bought you flowers and everything. It's too much pressure. Yeah, no one's buying flowers, mate. Like, no one's doing that shit either. So this guy's never had that situation before. This guy, he was he had a top job as an analyst at a bank before he became a comedian, and then he became a comedian and built fame, status, and now he, because he has women throwing himself at him, he thinks it's easy, and he doesn't actually understand the plight of young men today.
Take it down. And then, you know, that thing of, I think young people should be drinking. This is Scott Galloway's point, but it's a brilliant point. The damage to your liver, the risk to your liver is as nothing compared to the risk of social isolation. So you have to find things.
Yeah, young people aren't really drinking more. They're not going out. They're not going out, not because they're not drinking. They're not going out. They're not drinking because they're not going out. They don't have friends to go out with. So, you know, if you tell them, oh, start drinking, they don't have friends to drink with, okay? So then you just have a bunch of depressed people drinking in a pub all by themselves, right? Until they get so fucked up that, they just become a fucking drunken mess, right? No friends to look after them. That is the reason why, people aren't drinking anymore, right? He's thinking, oh, they aren't going out because they don't drink. They don't drink because they can't go out. It's too expensive to go out. They can't afford to drink alcohol, right? It is the government policies, it is inflation that has ruined a whole generation.
I would argue that most disagreements between couples are the same argument. And it's one person saying to another person, you're not enough people. Because we want to take everything we want our partner to be our everything in life, okay? So we want her to be our lover and our best friend and our confidant.
Yeah, the reason people want that is because people don't have friends. So once they find one partner, one person of the opposite sex that they can date, they want them to also be their friend, right? They want all these other things because social groups, societies, communities don't exist anymore. So people are more and more isolated than ever. Most women in shitty relationships don't allow the men to have any friends in the first place. So they end up fucked and don't have anyone to turn to, which is why people have arguments.
And our business partner and a million different things. And you're not enough is the argument. And actually you need great friends and you need hobbies and you need interests and you need a life outside.
People don't have money to have hobbies. People don't have money to have interests. People don't have money to date. Okay, he hasn't so far brought up any. He's putting the blame on people, on young men, right? He's not putting the blame that the previous generations, the previous governments have created for all these situations to take place. Okay, it's too expensive to go out. It's too expensive to date. The dating apps have ruined the dating dynamics across the world because it's globally connected, right? You can't just date within your community. Feminism has scared a generation of young men into not approaching, not asking women out. So far he's kept the blame on young men for watching too much porn, playing too much video games, which is a symptom, not cause, but he is treating it as the cause of all these issues.
Side of each other, you come together. It works better if there's it takes a village, not just to bring up the kid, but for the relationship.
There is no more village, right? Like villages don't exist anymore. Okay, we've created these mega cities, right, where people move to, where everything's so expensive, so people don't leave their apartments anymore, their houses anymore. It's too expensive to socialize. Okay, it's too expensive to drink. Okay, the tax on alcohol is so high that it doesn't make sense for you to go spend that money in a pub, in a club, in a bar, right? If you go to a club in London, where you want to meet some of the most attractive women in that city, it's going to cost you, at least £1,000, okay, over $1,000, to get in, right? You can split that with your friends, obviously. You paying $200 each, but you go out for $200 each, right? Like 5-6 of you or whatever. And at the end of the night, you still don't really get to meet anyone because the guy on the other side, he's got a table which you paid 10 grand for. Okay. The dating market is skewed. It is a race to the bottom. It is the financial winners take everything. Okay. And I want you to be in that position. I want you to be a king. I want you to have all the resources so you can outbid anybody.
deciding principle that I had in relationships was my partner has to be happy or alone so we can be happy together. And what I mean by that is that she or they are not at -1 before I enter their life. They have a wide array of ambition and extracurricular activities, hobbies, and interests.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're a king, you don't even have to think like that. This guy's like, oh, I'm looking for somebody who's got their own life sorted. It's like when most people have their own life sorted, you know, they decide to be picky, which is why he's not being picked. What you need to do is you need to be the best option, the strongest option. You know, you need to be a monopoly. You need to be a category of one where you can't be compared to anybody else, and that is the only way to establish real power, to protect yourself from all this bullshit within the dating market. Become a king, be seen as a king, become a leader, become a genius, become somebody who is in charge of their own destiny. Okay, then you don't have to play these silly little games like this person is describing.
So that I'm a +1 to their life, not filling that hole.
Yeah, I think Esther Perel's.
You shouldn't be a +1 to life. You should be a +1000. Okay, that is how impactful your presence needs to be in people's lives.
Probably the best on this.
Oh, she's great.
She's unbelievable. But that thing of like the percentage thing she talks about, like there's an illusion, right? So you go and you get together with a partner and you say, well, it's 50-50 in this relationship. It's never 50-50. Because sometimes you come in and you're broken. You've been at work and it hasn't gone well, and you're under stress because there's a financial thing and the kids are playing up and the car broke down. You're at 10. And then they need to be at 90. They need to make dinner and order in and make sure and actually they need to do laundry and they need to take care of everything because you're broken that day. And then the next day, she's at 40 and you're at 60. So you do a little bit more. I really like that idea of...
It just sounds like some bullshit that he's read in the book, some article, whatever. Like he's quoting some author that I've never heard of. Who gives a shit, right? What you need to do is you need to be so much better than the competition, right? That women bend over backwards to be in your presence, to have your babies, to want to date you, to be in your presence, okay? And the best way to do that is to be seen as somebody important, to be seen as a leader of men, to establish a kingdom, right? And your kingdom, you know, it doesn't even have to be a physical presence, okay? Like everything's moving online, right? If you could be seen as a king online with a massive following, or even a small following of really, really high caliber people who are willing to pay maximum money to get your insight, to follow you, your leadership into the place, into the future that you are taking them, okay? That is the place where I want you to be. I want you to be a king. If you think like me, if you want to live a better life, if you want to maximize your life, if you want to experience life right at the top, then reach out to me. Let's see if we can work together and change the current system.
Like, and aggregated over a year, it's 50-50. But it's not like that every day. You can't win an argument with your other half. You can't win a fight with your wife. It's your wife. The fuck are you talking about? If they lose, you lose.
Yeah. Conflicts live and die. Relationships live and die in the conflict resolution.
Okay. I've had enough of this guy. Let's just jump into this video from yesterday.
It should be fun on paper. And back in the day.
So this was Nightclubs, why people aren't going out anymore.
Hey, before phones existed, I bet it was. You know, dancing, good music, girls everywhere, vibed out, right? But if you've been to a club anytime in the past, I don't know, 5 years, you already know it's a humiliation ritual. And you guys know one of my main quest lines right now is to cut out as many humiliation rituals as I can out of my life. So I haven't been to the club in a while. They just don't make sense for me right now. But I used to go a lot. You know, I grew up in New York, which is one of the nightlife capitals of the entire world. And when I was a little shit, I was attracted to these clubs. But since then, not only have I realized how bad they really are, but also that they're getting worse and worse. Back in the good old days, a club was a successful club because it was fun to go to, right? You go there, you dance, you meet new people. And I got to experience a little taste of this myself right before COVID. But today, clubs are different. And today they rely on two things. So social media and the gooner mindset. And for those of you who don't know what a gooner is, I'm not going to explain that. But for the purpose of this video, let's just say it's someone who hasn't realized, chasing short-term gratification is not the move yet. We'll leave it at that. Without these two things, without social media, without this gooner mindset, these places would be lights out, right? So since COVID, clubs basically became like sets for people to just flex on social media.
Yeah, like I described in yesterday's video, is nightclubs are just status signaling, status symbols for people to flex on other people on social media. It's like, oh, I was at this place, let me get my pictures, let me post it on social media, to show that I'm going out, to show that I have an active social life, to be seen as being in the know of what is happening, what is going on. That is what most people are doing. That is what most people are finding themselves these days. People aren't really having fun in these places anymore. It is a race to the bottom to be seen as flexing. Don't hang around with people like that. Don't put yourself in a position where you think you have to be a performative person, acting fake on social media. Find out what your life purpose is and live that life, and find other people across the world that can maximize your life, that you want to hang around with. That is what I'm doing with here. I'm sending out a bat signal. I'm assembling the Avengers. We are coming together to find an alternative, to find a better life, to have the best dating lives possible, to have the best social life possible, to have the best business life, to make the most money, and to become kings.
Yeah. This idea of exclusivity and, flexing that you're at a spot that's, not easy to get. Not only are you there, you're having fun. It's just all ridiculous. And it's what attracts a lot of people to these clubs, right? It's not about having fun anymore. It's about looking like you're having fun. And most of the time, you guys know.
Yeah, most people are concerned with just how they're perceived, how other people view them. They're not feeding their souls, they're feeding their ego. And that is a position where you don't want to be in. You want to be in a position where, your soul is at full capacity, that you are living your life purpose, you're living your best life, you are having the most fun. And when you find yourself in a position like that, everything will click into place. Okay, the right people will show up in your life. The right people will want to be part of your life. There'll be so many people wanting to join you and your fun that you'll be pushing people actively away. You need to make sure that you are doing the right things for yourself, not what you think society is expecting of you.
Girls get in for free, right? But the guys, these are the guys that keep the lights on in these places. And most guys don't care about flexing on social media. They're there for the girls, let's be honest, right? And that's why I said the gooner mindset is a key piece of this equation, because without it, the modern day nightclub system doesn't work. It's short-term gratification wrapped into one experience. You got everything you need. You got the women, you got the liquor, the music's blasting. Here's the thing though, it's a total mirage. Like the thirsty dude who's about to croak in the desert, he looks up and he sees like a fresh pond surrounded by palm trees and shit. That's like what happens when you walk into a nightclub now with these girls. I swear, it's like the perfect analogy, because it's like, yes, they are very attractive and dressed to kill, like especially in New York. Oh my God. And sure, there's exceptions, but for the most part, these aren't your regular girls, right? Their interest in you is transactional. And if you're cool with that, and also have a bunch of money that you've been looking to light on fire, then you would love going to the club. I got a couple spots for you to go to, bro. But for me, man, especially in this economy, if you think I'm about to drop a rack on a $40 bottle of tequila to impress...
Yeah, I mean, he's saying it, the quiet part out loud, spending $1,000 on a $40 bottle of tequila. You're not paying for the actual bottle of alcohol. You're paying for the right to drink in that place. Okay, the alcohol is $40, but the right to drink at that spot is $960. Okay, and that's without service charge. That's without a tip for the bottle girl. That is the environment that we find ourselves in. That is the place that the modern world has decided to establish. I want you to live a life where money is not a problem for you anymore, where you don't have to look at the price of something. The other thing is once you establish a kingdom, once you become a king, People want to be generous towards you because they want to gain favor of a king. They want you to give them a blessing. In essence, they want to be around you. So the best way for most people to gain your attention is for them to be of some sort of benefit, to give you something. So what you'll find is, if you decide to live as a king, if you become in touch with your royal instinct, if you become a royal and establish a kingdom, then you will have all sorts of opportunities thrown your way. Then you will have people gifting you many different things in order to have your attention and for you to spend time with those people.
Some girls.
Actually, let's jump into the other video again, the one play at the start.
Dude said that he got arrested for sleeping with children, if you get what I'm saying. And the women would just kind of go tee-hee-hee and just ignore the fact that this dude is like a registered offender. But those are women that are on dating sites, so you got to already take that with a grain of salt.
Confirming what a lot of men have recently begun to realize: physical attractiveness is just as important to women as it is for men. Women just don't admit it.
That makes sense.
Another thing I think most people aren't aware of is the effect of attractiveness is exponential. The 2011 study, What Makes People Click, Mate Preferences...
No, I mean, if you look at Elon Musk, why is Elon Musk attractive? It's not his looks. Right? He's attractive because he is the richest man in the world. He is seen as a king. He is seen to have resources, and that is what women submit to. So on dating apps, yeah, sure, short-term hookups, but a lot of the time, I would like to see a study of those short-term hookups leading onto a long-term relationship. And what you will find is most of these good-looking guys can't actually keep a woman, because the woman will sleep with them thinking, yeah, oh my God, he's so hot. And then they spend some time with them, and then they're like, oh, he can't even afford nothing. All right. Where she could be with a rich guy and living such an easier life. We're in a time and place where everything's getting more and more expensive. Women are turning towards OnlyFans. Why? Like, what, if they can just, they've got all these options of dating hot guys online, why they're turning towards OnlyFans? Because money is the most important aspect. Okay. You need to establish a kingdom, because then you can be in charge of the resources. And once you're in charge of the resources, you'll have access to more money than you ever dreamed of.
Online dating looked at various traits to see what makes people attracted to each other. The study separated the 22,000 participants' facial attractiveness into deciles of attractiveness, with the top 10% getting separated into two groups, giving the top 5% their own group. To no one's surprise, the study found attractive people were significantly more likely to receive messages and match requests.
Of course.
But the distribution was eye-opening.
Don't take part in dating apps. Become a king and let women come to you. Let's finish off with Jimmy Carr again.
Yeah. I mean, I think that thing about, advice to young men, young people, I feel like our whole society is it's geared to the wrong thing. I think I spoke about it last night on stage, but that idea of going, young people we need to deal them in. People in their 20s need to be dealt into society. And that isn't about benefits. It's about them giving them agency, not just empathy. I see this as a real, we tend to give people we like empathy and people we don't like agency. So we say, well, you should have known better. If it's a march for something that we approve of and they riot, we go, well, that's, riots are the sound of the unheard, the language of the unheard. And if it's someone we don't like, we go, well, they knew what they were doing and they should be locked up and throw away the key. It's weird. So I think you've got to give everyone the same amount of agency and empathy.
I think I've actually heard him speak before about this. And he suggests people under the age of 30 don't pay any income tax. I think income tax should be abolished at all levels, because why should your labor be taxed, right? Like, you're trading your time for money. That is your money, right? However, I believe most taxation should be at point of sale, right? So for every transaction that takes place in the economy, that is where the tax happens, right? Okay, and there's already tax, like a VAT tax on goods. There's a sales tax on other things. Tariffs applied for importing and exporting goods. And I think that they're the types of taxes programs that the government should implement. Taxing everybody at the for their labor disincentivizes people to work, because like say if your salary is $50,000 a year, but you get taxed, and after tax you're left with like 35,000, right? It is kind of disheartening to see that drop, and it'd be much better for the economy, because then you have more money flowing through the economy, which people feel that they have, like he said, like the agency, like your own agency, that you're in charge of your destiny, that you're spending money how you see fit. Okay. And then the government collects taxes from every point of sale. Okay. That is the best way to move forward, I believe, and to give people power. And what you find is like things like inflation will still be happening, because because there'll be more money circulating, so inflation is bound to happen, right? But the way people feel about it will be completely different, because people will feel like they're in control of their lives.
And give them a chance. I think people in their 20s shouldn't be paying tax.
That is what I mean. That is what I heard him say before, and I believe no one should be paying tax on their income.
I like this theory.
It's not a bad, but you think about that idea of going, well, how are we're not going to rig the housing market, but we need to give people an opportunity to earn money, save money, and build a life and have a family, right? That's what societies are for. The idea of going, if you said to young people, anything you earn in your 20s, you keep. Well, it basically makes university less attractive, right? University needs to be elitist. It needs to be the top 10 or 20% of people at most.
He wants the elites in charge because he is part of the elite. He is part of the establishment, and he doesn't want to see most people succeed in life. He just wants them to have, be able to get on the property ladder, so that they'll inflate his prices. You have to remember, everybody is just like, even him on that podcast is just virtue signaling, trying to, gain favor, gain traction with younger crowds.
Because it's a luxury item. If luxury items are everywhere, they're no longer luxury items. It doesn't work. 50% of people going to university doesn't work. So the idea of going, well, we could rig that system pretty easily. And also, and I think, we've got a pensions crisis coming. I mean, there's a lot of fantasy politics going on, where people talk about what they're going to do and how many things they're going to give away. It's fantasy politics. We don't have that money. But maybe over 60, you should say to people, no tax. Over 60, no tax. What about that? It's not a crazy idea. You go, well, look, if you want to keep working when you're older, you get to keep it all. That's not a terrible idea. And old people can take better care of themselves. And if they can work, great.
Jimmy, after the movie, after the fragrance, politics is next for you.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. The elites, they want to extract everything out of the current system. They want you to be as poor as possible, because the more reliant you are on the system, on the machine, on elites, on the government, the more power that you're giving them. That is what it all comes down to. It's all about power. It's all about who is the decision maker, who is the one in charge. And the elites don't want to give up that power. They do not want to give up that position. They want you to feel small and humiliated. And it is leading to a whole generation not participating in the dating market. And men who try are humiliated.
3 times a week, you are bugging. And if she's impressed by that, she's not for me anyway. She's not Mrs. Walnuts. It's just, it's already a bad match, the whole put your name on a sign, the sparklers, everyone's phone comes out. It's all part of the ritual, right? And one of those rare things that I'm actually grateful that I can't afford. Nightclubs, you would think by definition, would be a social experience. But if you're going to one of these, general admission, you might as well stay your ass at home, because you will still have to spend $100 on a ticket, right? And then you have to wait in line for an hour. And then you finally get inside. It's okay, time to get a drink. You now need to spend $30 on each drink, squeezed into a sweaty dance floor like a bozo. It's like, good luck doing that.
Yeah, and most men have seen that they've worked out. It's just not worth it. The whole Red Pill movement, these Red Pill podcasts highlighting all these problems with it, has really awakened a generation of men. They're like, no, we're not taking part of that. And even if then when you went out just for fun, it is not as appealing anymore because nobody's out anymore, right? So then you're just there alone on the dance floor with just a bunch of sweaty men, because real hot women don't exist in real life anymore. It is all designed to humiliate you. It is all designed to make you feel small, to make you feel powerless. The more humiliated you are, the more likely you are going to turn towards vices like drugs, pornography. The more you stay indoors, the more likely you are to spend time on the algorithms, on social media, not enjoying life and being stuck at home. Okay, that is not the life I want for you. That is not the experience I want you to have. I don't want to have that experience either. I don't want to be locked away, be told what to do. I'm creating my own system. I am leaving the current system, establishing my own and living life by my own rules. Okay. If you understand what I'm saying, if you understand what I'm doing, then I want you to join me. I want you to reach out to me and see if we can work together, if we can establish our kingdoms, if I can make you a king and I can be a king in my kingdom, and we can rule alongside each other in the United Alliance of Kings. And then once we have big enough armies, once we have big enough followings, once we have enough kings within our alliance, then we can work on taking over the world, dethroning the current elites, the current people in power, and taking all the resources for ourselves. I'm setting up my own energy source, a cheaper energy alternative to the current oil-based system, which will drive prices down, which will allow me to be outside the system. And if you want to invest in that as well, let me know. Let's see what we can do. But that is it for today. Thank you for joining me, and stay safe. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.